Alrighty, and welcome back to another episode of Project Eden's Garden. My name is Skirboga, Captain Skirboga. And where we left off, we just had investigated Kai, and so I think now we're going to investigate Mark and Jet, because I think they come together in tandem, so we'll see what's happening. And I think we'll be able to do the investigation in this episode. Mark had returned to his position by the equipment.
Hi.
Hey, Desmond and Eloise told me you plan to investigate Wolfgang's dorm. Grace isn't guarding it anymore, so you can go inside now. Let me guess, you don't want to investigate.
It's nothing.
I just came here to make sure my interface wasn't damaged. This investigation could spell the difference between life and death, yet his priority was his stupid music equipment? Don't you think it looks suspicious what you're doing?
What?
I heard people are already giving Grace the side eye for being uncooperative. What might they say if they find out you've ditched the investigation?
Slow down.
Yo, hold on! See, I knew they were together in tandem. Jet called out to us from the other side of the room and ran over. Can't you see Broski isn't feeling well? Give the guy some space.
That's not important.
I don't care, I'm working on a time limit. Who are you to talk anyway? Judging by the look on the broski's face whenever you guys are together.
It's simple.
Out of everyone here, I think you know the least about personal space. What? No way! Sure, Mark might not want to talk a whole lot, but if he wasn't having fun, do you really think we'd be hanging out so much?
Broskies always stick together.
Come on, broski, back me up here. Time. What? What time did the murder happen?
That's...
9:35 a.m.? Check this. He pointed to a small digital clock at the top of the music pad.
That's...
Huh? This is the time of the murder. It was like this when I came back here. I think the clock got screwed over by the blackout. So now it's frozen on whatever it was displaying before it lost power. Then that confirms my suspicions. The blackout and by association the destruction of the generator occurred at the time of Wolfgang's black murder. Cool, man.
My man.
Nice going, bro. You hit the jackpot. Bet it's 'cause I was here with you, huh? And he says nothing. Sheesh. This was getting hard to watch. Hey, man, your turn.
Yeah.
Is it me? Or is there something funky about this place?
Come again?
What? I don't know, man. Everything feels kinda off. I can't place wide, though. It's just bugging the crap out of me. Sounded like he just felt uncomfortable being here. I guess I can't blame him. With the turn things have taken, the tension and excitement of the tournament was all but a distant memory. And this room was now a reminder Wolfgang died right under our noses. Is there anything out of the ordinary? Cassidy had clearly spent a lot of time dueling this. She must be upset that we didn't even finish a single round. The first time people have a get-together and they're interrupted by a murder. Thinking back on it, the game tournament and the murder happened really close to each other. The former began at 9 a.m., while the latter occurred at 9:35 a.m. That's within the same hour. Taking another look at this whiteboard. Yeah, I can see why the killer chose to attack so soon. 8 potential witnesses all situated in one place, too preoccupied with video games to notice the world around them. There couldn't be a more perfect time to strike. Cool. May as well skim through the kitchen just in case. Looking inside the cabinets, there didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary, except... Ooh, the knife. The knife block had a knife missing from it. For a kitchen knife to go missing, at the same time a knife is found floating in the boiler room's water, that can't be a coincidence. How did Wolfgang have time to get the knife, though? Huh? Oh my, would you look at the time? Oh, I knew it. I dare say we ought to get this trial started soon. How does 20 minutes from now sound? Great! Please continue to investigate until then. See you later! What? There's only 20 minutes until the trial?
Hang on.
Damon.
Jeez, how does she keep scaring me?
The investigation's almost over. We need to find the other 3 and hear their testimonies.
That's...
The other 3?
As I was saying,
Toshiko, Ingrid, and Diana.
Jeez.
Alright, calm down. Desmond said they were in the courtyard,
I'm
right?
talking.
And Diana's in the laundry room.
Then, let's talk to Diana first, since the laundry room is in the same building. In the meantime, don't panic, okay?
Can't you see?
I'm not panicking.
As she said that, she motioned for me to follow her over to the door. Ava might deny it, but the anxiety which had been bubbling up inside her was clearly starting to boil over, although with how fast my own heart was beating, I guess she's not alone. Aw, no way, man. I have to go by myself. But I don't know where the laundry room is. Yeah. Well, there's Ava.
Get to the point.
Hurry up.
Okay, well, I don't know where the laundry room is, so we gotta... Nope. Map. Go! Wait. But I don't know... Well, where's she at? I don't know where she... Okay, well the map is useless to me. It's in the same building. That's the janitor's closet. That's the courtyard. I don't know where the laundry room is. Laundry room? Oh, there we go. Alright, if Desmond's telling the truth, then Diana should be in here. Well, this place doesn't seem that bad. Though the room itself looks shabby and old, these machines were quite modern. It's like the room I woke up in, having that generator. Why are bits of modern technology scattered throughout an otherwise abandoned building? Laundry machine, Ava. Laundry machine. Okay, we'll just talk to Diana. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. Diana was standing with her back pressed up against the wall, arms wrapped around herself in a tight embrace. She's in even worse shape than before. Diana, I need to ask you a question. Please give me a moment. It's been kind of tough.
No.
The investigation is going to end really soon. We can't wait.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Where were you during the blackout? Oh, the blackout. Right, before the body was discovered. I was just in my room, alone, doing my makeup.
You don't have any makeup on, though.
I was experimenting with new combinations. What do you mean she doesn't have any makeup on? Girl, are you telling me that's your natural face? I'm jealous. I was experimenting with new combinations, so I wiped it all off already.
I see.
So you were alone in your room the entire morning? You don't have an alibi, girl. That's not an alibi. Girl, sus. Absolutely sus. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling up to it.
Sorry.
Sorry. I'm feeling a little sick all of a sudden. Do you mind if I go back to my dorm? Dude, aren't you bunking with Ava? I've asked all the questions I wanted to. Thanks.
So,
Do you think she was acting weird at all?
That's...
No, weirder than the others. Anyway, since Diana gave a testimony, I can cross her off my list now, which means the only people I still need to speak to.
where?
I hope Ingrid and Toshiko are still in the courtyard.
We won't know until we see for ourselves. Alright, let's go before this investigation ends. Are you sure you want to leave? Yes, I want to leave. Is she just gonna say hurry up?
Save it.
I don't want to talk right now.
Okay. Just checking. Just checking. There they are. Toshiko and Ingrid had retreated under a bandstand at the center of the courtyard. The larger girl was comforting the smaller girl, who completely hidden her face behind her fan.
Hello?
Hey, have either of you been investigating?
Investigating?
Toshiko lowered her fan to reveal a pair of puffy eyes.
Unacceptable!
I don't know. What are you expecting me to do?
Seriously?
To look for clues.
Clues?
Impossible!
How am I meant to do that? It's not like I've had to solve a murder before, you know.
We did have the trial practice one, remember?
Oh,
My hands have been a bit full, so, no luck finding any clues. I can see why.
Moving on.
Okay, well, did you at least notice anything suspicious this morning? It could be a person acting odd or a strange sound. That's what most real-life testimonies talk about anyway.
Think this through.
A person acting odd. Maybe not at the time, but looking back, it definitely seems a little strange. Do you want to tell him, Toshiko?
Okay, fine. This morning, I saw Wolfgang.
Huh?
Whoa!
When did you see him?
In the dorm hallway, on my way back from the pharmacy. The dorm hallway?
Just as I was about to enter my room, I saw Wolfgang leave his.
Ooh, we get flashbacks? Oh, this is cool.
Oh, Wolfgang. What a coincidence running into each other like this.
Are you already on your way to the tournament, Miss Carrera? It's rather early.
Of course not. A professional like myself knows better than to attend some silly party.
Right. My apologies.
What about you? Are you going to the tournament?
That's correct. I'm going to the tournament. I'm just heading to the laundry room right now. There's a bunch of clothes I accidentally left behind in there.
That's...
Wolfgang said he was going to attend the tournament.
Strange.
Yesterday he told everyone he was too busy to attend.
I assumed he changed his mind.
I had no reason to question him.
I heard bits and pieces of their conversation from inside my dorm. The whole thing couldn't have lasted longer than a minute.
Bit complicated.
Toshiko and I are bunk buddies, by the way. Thought I'd mention that in case Damon didn't know. Okay, thanks. Anyways, when I heard what Wolfie said, my first thought was, leftover clothes? I don't remember any leftover clothes. But I figured I must have been misremembering. What with my aching head and all. Aching head? I was suffering a terrible headache this morning. Couldn't even see 2 steps in front of me, let alone get up from my bed.
That's why I had gone to the pharmacy. I was hoping to procure some medication for Ingrid.
Not my proudest moment, I'll admit. But I knew I could trust Toshiko with the job.
So,
Do you know what time the interaction with Wolfgang happened?
10 past 8, I think.
How should I put it?
The conversation happened just a little after the morning announcement. That I can tell you with confidence.
Yes, 10 past would make sense. When the announcement initially played, I was just about to leave the pharmacy.
Then she was already inside the pharmacy by 8 a.m. So, Wolfgang, he looked totally fine when you saw him?
sure.
Yes, nothing seemed awry.
Huh? Doesn't that call into question what Grace told me earlier? Either Grace lied to me about Wolfgang calling in sick, or she was telling the truth, and Wolfgang just got outed as a liar. Well, I think Wolfgang was a liar. I think he lied. I can probably deduce an answer if I know what time Grace left Wolfgang's dorm. If she left before 8:10 a.m., then she would have already been out of the picture by the time Wolfgang made his move. Hence why she only remembers him in bed. However, if she left after 8:10 a.m., then she would have been there for Wolfgang's encounter with Toshiko, which means she lied about Wolfgang being bedridden during the period of time she was in his dorm. Funny how she never gave me a time.
What else happened after Toshiko saw Wolfgang?
That blackout sure gave us a spook. Toshiko and I decided to stay here where we were until the lights turned on, though we did watch you and your buddies pass by. You saw that?
How should I put it?
Heard it first, then took a peek. I would have said something, but I still wasn't feeling my usual self, so we watched you up until you all went down the stairs. That must have been how you found the crime scene, right? Yeah, that's right.
Too much for me.
Such a terrible sight. I can't believe someone here might actually be behind it. Let's just hope we can solve it. Uh-oh. That's... Alright everyone, that's time! Please drop whatever it is you're doing and proceed over to the Tree of Ignorance. Don't make me wait too long, otherwise you'll be in for a shocking surprise. Get it? Because your trinkets can zap you. Anyway, just gonna move on.
It's time.
Fingers crossed.
You two go on ahead, Toshiko and I'll catch up.
Listen to me.
Okay, let's go, Damon.
Right. Because if you were the murderer, that means the only time you have left on this earth is the investigation room. So that means you have to hope you don't get caught. And if you do get caught, the last things you were doing was just trying to evade the investigation. Shocking. Ava and I made the short trek to the room with the tree. Once there, we waited for the others to arrive. Eventually, everyone had shown up. So, how are you guys feeling?
Beats me.
Words wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty bad. I can't tell you how I feel when I don't even know what I feel. I'd rather we save the talking for the trial. The trial. In just a few moments' time, we were going to be down there. Down there in the trial room, fighting for survival, using only our words. Come on, Damon, get a grip already. Before the door in the tree opens, I need to ask Desmond if he has any new information about the taser gun.
Hi.
Hey. Hey. His voice was steady, but his eyes kept darting around the room. Did you check the taser?
Right.
Right, I did. Any findings? Just one. The gun's blast doors were missing.
Huh?
Blast? What? Huh? All of a sudden, the ground. Oh no, not again. Hold on to something, everyone. The Tree of Knowledge, a symbol of sentience, intuition, and understanding, exists here only as a barren replica. The Tree of Ignorance emulates the wonder of nature, but does not achieve it. And justly so, for ignorance often aspires to be seen as wisdom. Dang. Well, guess we gotta cut this conversation short. No, we need to know. We need to know. I'll explain everything during the trial. Let's not keep this goat guy waiting.
Holy!
Oh man, this is really happening. We're so screwed. We're totally gonna die.
It is how it is.
If you go in expecting to fail, chances are you will.
Game over, man! Game over!
I'm gonna think of failure even more because you said that.
Hold your horses.
Look at it this way. Who here are the cards more stacked against? 14 people working together to solve a murder, or one person trying to lead everyone else astray.
Are we ready?
If anyone's in for a struggle, it ain't the group of 14.
Do you think?
You make a good point. Statistically, the odds are in our favor here.
It'll be
No, it's
okay.
not, because some of y'all are dumbasses and can't do anything. Exactly. Luck will be on our side.
No, it's not.
If luck was on our side, we wouldn't be in a killing game to start with. He's got a point. Can I say something first before we go?
Oh,
Oh, what is it? It's a message for the killer.
what did you say?
A message for the killer? The person here who killed Wolfgang. Whoever you are, can you please step forward? Huh?
I want to help.
We don't have to do this class trial. If you can just find it in yourself to step forward and bring this whole thing to an end already, then please. Despite Diana's pleas, no one came forward.
Come on.
If someone's determined enough to commit murder, they won't back down because of one person's pleas. This is sus, Diana. This is so sus. It kind of makes it feel like you're the murderer, but I'm on the hardest mode available. So if you are the murderer, that would be too easy. So I think you're a red herring, okay? Automatically, you are a red herring because you said that. But girl, your positiveness is overflowing. Nobody needs that right now. Since we're on the subject, I also got a message for the killer. Don't forget that the punishment fits the crime. Enjoy the death penalty. Grace spat out those words and disappeared into the opening of the
Can
tree.
I go now?
Are you serious? Cosine?
Slow down.
Yo, broski, wait up. One by one, people began to follow suit. I guess if it's time to go. We knew where the stairs would take us and where the elevator afterwards would deliver us, but everything beyond that was shrouded in uncertainty. There was no mock trial awaiting us, no Fox murder designed to waste our time with a stupid mystery. This was undoubtedly real. Come on, Damon, get a hold of yourself already. Taking a deep breath, I approached the opening in the tree and descended into the darkness. Aw, Wolfgang's gone. That's so sad. It was the same. The same elevator, the same slow churning of metal, and echoing sounds of clunky machinery. That's so sad. Why does it look like Diana has like cracks in the floor near her? I'm worried for her, girl. I'm worried for her. And yet something was different. Someone was gone. Yeah, there's a huge blank space next to Winona and Jean there. Absolutely sad. Someone who I never held in high regard, but who was still a person nonetheless. A person with feelings, a person with aspirations, a person with a family. Yeah, that's true. Cause you know, he could have just made a kid with Grace over here. You know, I hate to say it, but bunnies or rabbits, whatever she is, they multiply exceedingly quick and fast. So, you know, it doesn't seem to me like the chances of her not getting pregnant are not slim, because she is a rabbit after all. So chances are she probably has a kid on the way. 9 months later, we'll see, unless she dies in this killing game. But a part of Wolfgang is in Grace forever. Let's just hope she survives. That's so morbid to think about, but also like, dang, person with a family. I'm pretty sure that's not what they were referring to, but I mean, that's the conclusion I made from that one day. A person who I will never hear speak again, not unless we got recordings of him, or that was a fake body. It was a fake one that wasn't the real Wolfgang. What if it was someone pretending to be Wolfgang? Oh my gosh, that means Grace wasn't actually with the real Wolfgang. It happened in the first Danganronpa game, and it happened in the second Danganronpa game. And it happened in the third Danganronpa game, except the third one doesn't really kind of count. I mean, it kind of does, but the person pretending to be someone else, but not really. I wouldn't count it, but you know, it's a trend. It's a trend. Not a single word. Am I ready for this? Was what I did during the investigation the best I could have done? Will it be enough to carry me through this trial? Will it be enough to lead me to Wolfgang's killer? I don't know, man. Oh my gosh, wait, I just noticed this. But Ava and Damon are standing next to each other. Ooh. Also, Winona and Ulysses are also standing close to each other, too. What? Aw, cool, cool. I won't know until I do it. Until I face this trial head on. There's no way I can place my faith in the other people here. There's no way they'll come to the correct conclusion. Our survival depends on me. That is true. They're not very good at this. But you'd think Ulysses would be good at this. The elevator began to slow, snapping me back to reality. I adjusted my tie and stood up tall when the movement stopped completely. The doors in front of us opened.
Rise and shine.
Ooh, what just happened there? Somebody call an ambulance. I think I've caught a case of deja vu. Something weird is happening with the game.
Isn't this lovely?
It feels like only yesterday we were playing detective with the corpse of the crime scene. Excellent? I don't know what that word's supposed to be.
How interesting.
After all that back and forth over a simple whodunit mystery, I'm truly curious what today's trial will yield. Dude, please don't die on the game. I don't want to restart.
Yeah,
Just to remind myself, our names are on the podiums, right? Eager to start, are we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to find your podium, just look where your name is written.
The show must go on.
Come on now, hop to it. I'm so excited I can barely wait a second longer. Dude, I'm scared. This is in hardcore mode, and this is for real. Like, I'm probably gonna die a lot. I really don't want to do this.
Oh, crud.
We gotta do as he says, though. Otherwise, that enforcer lady might get mad. Knowing we were powerless to disobey Tozu, we began to disperse and locate our podiums.
Hey.
It's okay, everyone. If we work together, we can do this.
We can't give up.
Right, guys? If we work together, we can solve this case. So, come on, let's do this for Wolfgang.
Although her words elicited nods from the other students, the expressions on their faces told a different story. It was an expression I couldn't help but feel conflicted over, in a moment where I shouldn't have been focusing on my feelings, an expression of unmistakable fear. Four days now. 4 days now. Get it? Because they've only been there for 4 days. Or is it 5 days? I think it's been a week for them, officially, right? A whole week for them? I've been angry over the mock trial. Angry at how much people resented me for telling the truth, and how they twisted my words and assumed my intentions. I'm angry, but that didn't mean I wanted to be right. I would have been happy for reality to prove me wrong, for no one to buckle under the pressure of the killing game. But good endings like that only exist in stories. Reality was apathetic to what we wanted, and the events of today proved we were at its mercy. So I stood there at my podium conflicted. To think this tragedy could have been avoided had people just listened to me. Okay, I really do think the theory of the apple being connected by how they're sliced is real, because look, Damon and Diana are across each other, so it seems like Diana's kind of like the protagonist here because she's always giddy or whatnot. Because clearly it's not Wolfgang because he's dead, so they're a counter to each other, but I want to know why Ava and Wolfgang are matched across each other, because they seem like polar opposites because they have the same things happening but they were treated differently, so I kind of want to know what's going on here, you know? Let me know. Let me know. I want to know. I want to know why. I want to know why. What's happening? To think this tragedy could have been avoided had people just listened to me. But who was it that encouraged everyone to turn on me? Who was it that encouraged everyone to trust each other? If Wolfgang hadn't been so naive, if he'd just told people to protect themselves rather than each other, then maybe he would still be here. Regardless, I can't let myself be consumed by the what-ifs. Although the others may have failed at preventing Wolfgang's murder, I, at the very least, can solve it. I'll uncover this killer, let them face the consequences of their actions. I'll solve this case and survive. Would you like to save... yeah. I would like to save my game. I didn't know it was gonna give me that chance. Had I known that, I probably would continue. Okay, so free slot 9. Slot 9. Good to know. We're on mean. Back. View trinket. Truth bullets. The blackout. Blood spots. Boiler room doorknob. Wolfgang's hands. DJ padlock. Extended cord. Footsteps. Blah 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 blah. That's a lot. Okay, great. Begin class trial.
Let's get this started, shall we? Welcome back to the trial grounds, everyone. Unlike previously, today will be no circus. No mockery woven with stitches and needles. A true, fair, and proper trial will commence. A battle of wits between the blackened and the spotless. I doubt I have to explain the rules to you again. You must vote for who you believe is the blackened. If the blackened receives the majority of votes, only they will be punished, and the rest of you will resume your killing game experience.
That's different from the other game, because it seems like in the other, like the original games, like everyone had to vote for the killer, not just a majority, but I'm glad they changed that.
However, if you vote for the wrong person, then expect no sympathy from your hosts. All spotless students will meet a tragic end, or the blackened will be granted release from this academy.
But it never says they'll be free from your control, just that you'd be released from the academy.
Happy discussing! We pray for your survival and success.
Why does it point to you first, Ava? Oh, okay.
Can someone please break this silence?
I don't want to talk about this.
Wolfgang deserves justice. But putting everyone's lives on the line like this is just cruel.
Oh, crap. Without a lawyer, we're totally screwed.
Whenever I turn my head, I keep expecting to see him at his podium.
Oh, don't cry, Toshiko. He's in a better place now, you hear?
Whichever one of you sick did this, whatever it takes, no matter if I have to kick the brains out of every single person here, I'll find you.
Do you really gotta resort to violence?
Let's just stay calm, okay? Making peace with our situation is, the first step in handling it. How can I stay calm when there's a killer on the loose? That is watching us right now, fully content putting our lives on the line. Is that what you call peace? Being at the mercy of some dickhead silent observer?
Well, nobody knows for sure if the killer is even a silent observer. If anything, the killer might try to feign innocence through other means. For instance, pretending to be outspoken about the case.
What the? Are you accusing me of something?
Oh, go off. Go off.
I mean, what you did during the investigation seems really suspicious.
What did Grace do?
She stood in front of Wolfgang's dorm room and wouldn't let anyone go inside.
See, Eloise would not let that slide. What you did to her, Gray, she's coming back at you full force.
Intentionally or not, it really hindered our investigation.
Because of Grace, almost everyone who planned to investigate Wolfgang's dorm gave up and went elsewhere. It was only after some of us started protesting that she finally relented. You know, for someone who seems so adamant about finding Wolfgang's killer, it's odd she tried to conceal potential evidence.
I'm not saying Grace is definitely the killer. I just think we should be cautious of her.
She has an alibi, though.
Huh?
Grace couldn't have murdered anyone, 'cause she went to the game tournament.
Grace attended the tournament?
Does that rule her out from committing the murder?
Well, yeah. We had to be at the dining hall by 9 a.m.-ish, which was like half an hour before the murder. Nobody left the tournament after it started either. Nobody I know of, anyway.
There weren't many of us there. Had someone disappeared, it would have been obvious.
So, Grace is off the hook? Wow. That plot thread resolved itself quicker than I was anticipating.
So Jean, Grace, and Kai attended Cassidy and Jet's game tournament.
And me.
And Mark.
That was delayed.
Damon and I also attended the tournament. We can also vouch for Grace.
You guys aren't lying, are you?
Lying about Grace?
What the heck? Are you seriously doubting 8 testimonies?
If the 8 of you were really together when Wolfgang was discovered, then Kai, doesn't that contradict what you said before the investigation? You told everyone you and Damon found Wolfgang first. How is that possible if you guys never left the dining hall?
Daisy chain. What happened here? Damon and me, we just found him like this.
I never said I didn't leave the dining hall.
But earlier you told us you were with the other attendees.
That's because us partygoers left the dining hall together.
See?
Mm-hmm. When the blackout struck, the tournament folk joined arms and headed straight downstairs. I would know. I saw him.
There was a blackout?
You don't remember?
Actually, I don't recall a power outage either.
How could that be? Did an alternate timeline converge with ours?
No, they got separate. They have separate generators. Why is it that some people can recall a blackout but not others? Thinking back on the testimonies I've collected, I can probably make an educated guess. Blackout affected one building. Affected the blackout only one building.
I got it.
There we go.
The reason not everyone experienced a blackout is because only the building containing our dorms was affected. If I had to guess, the courtyard and tree area are connected to separate power sources.
So the tournament attendees were affected, yet they left the dining hall? Why not stay put until the power returned?
Because we were the ones who brought it back. It didn't seem like the power was being restored anytime soon, so we took up the challenge of fixing it ourselves. And just our luck, boom! We found a spare generator lying in one of the storage closets. Of course, then we found Wolfgang.
She's right. The 8 of us split into 4 pairs and inspected a storage room each.
Because of the toaster trinket map, we know which ones too. Eva and Grace checked storage closet A. Jet and I checked storage closet B. Damon and Kai checked storage closet C. And Jean and Mark checked storage closet D.
Yeah, I was with Grace. She can confirm being with me too. Yeah, we were together.
Oh, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry for what I said earlier.
Girl, this is not gonna end well for you later.
Sorry? You're sorry for accusing me of murder. Sorry doesn't cut it, you conniving two-faced bitch! If you really want my mercy, then get on your knees and beg for it!
Whoa! Uncool, dude.
Hang on. Even if you aren't involved in Wolfgang's murder,
What makes you think she'd be privy to that?
you see, there's proof Grace spent last night with Wolfgang.
Grace and Lawyer Man? Talk about an unexpected pairing.
Not really.
When I investigated Wolfgang's room, I saw a bunch of golfing equipment inside. Also, there was a blue woman's jacket tossed over the mantle of Wolfgang's bed.
Ugh.
He's right. I also saw the equipment and the clothes.
The clothes are understandable, maybe. But why was golfing equipment in the room?
Yo, little history dude. Wolfgang must have spilt the beans with you, right?
Why would Ulysses know anything?
Common courtesy. If you're gonna have a one-night stand, you gotta let your roomie know in advance.
Common courtesy also says you should watch your mouth around children.
Yes, ma'am.
Dude, the only child in here is a matchmaker. I think you're fine.
So if I'm getting this right, Ulysses is bunking with Wolfgang?
Well, we only shared a dorm for one night.
You aren't bunking with him anymore?
Let me provide some context. As you may remember, after Desmond suggested everyone bunk together, the male students were directed to the dining hall. Once there, we played rock, paper, scissors to determine who would partner with who. Jet partnered with Mark, Desmond with Jean, Damon with Kai, and I with Wolfgang. Those were the pairings at the time. However, the following day, Grace and I agreed to swap rooms.
Yeah? Why'd you do that?
For reasons.
Totally not suspicious.
It was a win-win situation. I get Grace out of my hair. She gets me out of hers.
You two were originally bunking together?
The pairings were decided to be a game of tic-tac-toe. I wasn't big on my partner being chosen for me, so when the opportunity arose to change that, I took it.
Thus, I became Winona's roommate, and Grace became Wolfgang's.
Can confirm. I watched the whole thing play out.
Since the room swap happened the night after we implemented the bunk buddy system, that would mean Grace and Wolfgang have been bunking for about a day and a half. Ugh, gross.
Oh my gosh.
In that case, Desmond was right about those two being together last night. Grace, did Wolfgang act strange at any point? Like, maybe he said something that stuck out to you, or, oh, maybe he had trouble getting to sleep.
I'm sure he had trouble getting to sleep. Maybe he had lack of sleep.
No. Nothing weird happened last night. Nothing happened last night, but... The morning of the murder, this morning, Wolfgang told me he felt sick. Sick? With a stomachache. It hurt so bad he couldn't get out of bed. I was gonna cancel my plans for today, but he convinced me to attend the tournament. So, I left his room right after the morning announcement. And yes, I'm talking about the game tournament. The same one Wolfgang acted all hesitant about attending. Newsflash, I changed his mind after breakfast yesterday.
Hold on a sec. That ain't what you told me this morning.
What did Grace tell you?
Simply put, she felt like competing. Grace knew I planned to compete as well, so she asked me to be her sparring partner, since you needed one to enter the tournament.
But why was she all shocked when she walked into the tournament and was like, wait, I'm partnered with Jean? She said that though. I'm really confused.
She withheld information.
Aye, that she did. Of course, since I now know Wolfgang's condition at the time, I can't say I blame her. If someone you cared for was in a vulnerable position, would you go around and admit that in a killing game? No. You would try to protect that person by saying nothing at all.
When you put it that way, man, sounds rough.
I think it's obtuse.
Huh?
Say we assume the best of Grace. She withheld information not to trick anyone, but to protect someone she cares about. What then should we make up the glaring contradiction in her testimony?
What the hell do you mean, contradiction?
If your bunking partner was too ill to make the short trek to the dining hall, how did he walk all the way to the boiler room?
Because he lied. He lied.
Good point. If Wolfgang really were bedridden, he would have stayed in his room.
Now that you mention it, to reach the underground floor, wouldn't Wolfgang need to descend, like, 4 flights of stairs? It's nothing for a healthy person, but for a guy who's supposedly really sick...
It's not my fault it doesn't make sense. It's just what Wolfgang told me. Yeah. Didn't we decide Grace wasn't the killer anyway?
That's not to say she doesn't know more than she's letting on.
I'm not withholding anything else. Leave me alone.
Is there more to the story than Grace is telling us? Yeah, we know that. Too many people are letting their emotions cloud their judgment. I need to solve this mystery and set things straight. Okay, great. Yeah, we need Toshiko's fetch quest.
Why don't you tell everyone the truth, Grace?
I've got nothing else to explain.
Okay.
The last I saw Wolfgang, he was in our dorm room.
Okay, hear me out. Secret hallways.
No.
We would have found those by now.
Maybe Wolfgang was carried by the killer.
That, or Wolfgang never told Grace he was sick.
I wouldn't lie about what he said.
What if Wolfgang used the elevator in the tree?
No.
You're not helping.
That's it? Oh, shoot. There's a major discrepancy in Grace's testimony, but is she necessarily at fault? No, she's not. No, she's not. We got
Why don't you tell
testimony.
everyone the truth, Grace?
We would have found those by now. Maybe Wolfgang was carried by the killer.
No, that's wrong!
Whoa, I got it! I didn't know that was it.
It's true Grace's testimony is inconsistent with where we found Wolfgang's body. But that's not Grace's fault. The only person we should be blaming is Wolfgang himself.
What the heck? Why are you blaming him?
Simple. Because he lied about being sick.
Seriously?
You can cooperate. Can't you, Toshiko? During the investigation, you told me you saw Wolfgang in the hallways at 8:10 a.m.
That's after I left.
Yes. I remember now. Ingrid. She had developed a headache, so I went to the pharmacy to find some medication. The trip itself went fine, but when I returned to the hallway, I found myself face to face
with Wolfgang?
Hold the phone! Toshiko actually saw Wolfgang?
We had a normal, pleasant exchange. He appeared perfectly healthy and even mentioned going to the tournament. Of course, he never made it.
I don't want to be that guy, but can anyone confirm this?
Mm-hmm. I heard them chatting a while in my room. Though I was bedridden like a sitting ghost, I could still make out their voices here and there.
Strange. He told Grace he wouldn't attend the tournament, but then said the opposite to Toshiko.
Sounds like he was telling fibs to conceal his actual intentions.
And what's his true plan supposed to be?
To go to the boiler room. Most likely.
I'm lost. What business would a guy like him have down there?
Why did Wolfgang go to the boiler room? That I can also answer, because in the note. Wolfgang's panic pouch, time to court footsteps, generator, Grace totally knife, odd smell, shrapnel, stealing Olympian storage closet. Suspicious note.
This is it.
Sweet.
During the investigation, I found this note tucked away inside Wolfgang's blazer pocket. A lot of it is water damaged. The paper looks like it was ripped from a notebook, and the handwriting was done in ink. But some parts are still legible.
Secret
This
815.
mentions the boiler room.
Exactly. The fact we found Wolfgang in the boiler room, and this note in his pocket. It can't be a coincidence. This note must be the reason Wolfgang went there.
That mention of a secret sure is suspicious. I'm willing to bet Wolfie's reason had something to do with it.
Agreeing to meet a stranger in some spooky dark place? Wolfgang had nerves of steel.
Ulysses, Grace, do you remember Wolfgang getting delivered a weird note?
No. The only time I recall him receiving anything was when Tozu distributed those envelopes.
I don't know anything about a note. Really? Wolfgang shared nothing with you guys?
Guess he didn't want them to know what it said.
Right. And if Wolfgang wanted to keep this note a secret, he would obviously want to keep the meeting a secret too.
Then the reason he told Grace he felt sick
was to remove her from the picture. Yeah. Once she's not in the room, Wolfgang has his opportunity to sneak out and head downstairs. That's also why he encouraged her to attend the tournament.
Didn't the same guy ask us to share our blackmail with each other? Talk about double standards.
Are we sure he wasn't just trying to protect Grace? Maybe he knew he was meeting someone dangerous, so he thought it would be safer not to involve her.
That does sound like something Wolfgang would do.
Not to interrupt, but on the subject of blackmail, did Wolfgang ever confront the person he had?
Oh? You don't know whose blackmail he got?
Well, if you recall what Wolfgang said originally.
For that reason, I explore all of you to speak with the person whose blackmail you have, and them only. Even if the context of the envelope seems horrible, give the person a chance to explain themselves.
Regardless of the blackmail's contents, it would be treated as a matter between the recipient and the subject of the blackmail, and no one else. Which makes me wonder, could whether or not Wolfgang confronted his person clue us into what had originally been written on that note?
I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
If that person somehow realized Wolfgang carried their blackmail, but never came forward about it, they could have demanded Wolfgang show it to them, hence the mention of a secret. However, if Wolfgang did confront his person, I don't see why that same person would then send him a threatening note. Not least act coy about information they both know.
If the person being blackmailed wasn't the one who wrote the note, who was?
Obviously, it would be the student with Wolfgang's blackmail.
Oh, I knew that.
Yes, the secret in question may actually be a reference to Wolfgang's blackmail, not the sender's.
Is there any way to figure out whose secret it is?
We'd probably need to know whose blackmail Wolfgang had first.
Oh, I've got just the idea. Yo! Person who Wolfgang had blackmail on! If he gave you your blackmail back, can you say something?
Don't forget the person with Wolfgang's blackmail.
Oh, right. Ahem. Hey! Person who's got Wolfgang's blackmail! If you're innocent, say something already!
Yeah, we're not gonna say anything. If I'm innocent, I should say something. Would telling everyone I have Wolfgang's blackmail really guarantee my innocence in their eyes? I don't think it will. I mean, it might. Better out than later. I don't know either, man. Although everyone may follow my direction during the trial, since they can't ignore the evidence on my side. When it comes to me, of all people, owning Wolfgang's blackmail, how do I know they won't suddenly change their tune? They won't. They'll attack you. They might chastise me for not revealing this blackmail sooner, or maybe they'll think I'm confessing and accuse me of murdering him. It's not like I wouldn't be able to refute their arguments, but I do really want to subject myself to all that. Does the trajectory of this trial really depend on whether or not I...
I was hesitant to admit it, since I knew it would put me on the spot. But I'd rather be suspected than be the reason this trial comes to a standstill.
Huh?
Are you confessing? Do you have Wolfgang's blackmail?
Nah, not his.
What a letdown.
Seriously?
But we knew that already.
Way to be anticlimactic.
However, it's thanks to him that I have my own.
Your own?
Wolfgang approached me the same day everyone received an envelope. Funnily enough, it happened right after I'd finished speaking with my own person. He and we had a good talk. He gave me his envelope and asked me to take care of it. If you need the proof.
Ah, Wolfgang's envelope had the same signature.
I held on to the letter for safekeeping. This should have all been said sooner. I realize that. I suppose my pride was stronger than my rectitude. My mistake for stringing everyone along.
I mean, at least you're honest.
Truth! Thanks for letting us know, bud.
Dude, they would not have done that to us if we said that.
Indeed. To acknowledge one's own misdoings is a most virtuous feat, I believe.
Right. It's very noble.
If I revealed my blackmail right now, would everyone here treat me the same? No. Would they be just as forgiving? No, they wouldn't, Damon.
I take it our other blackmail person isn't gonna step forward?
If nothing happens, let's just have everyone recite whose blackmail they got one by one.
Huh? You sure that's a good idea?
No one's reciting. It was only a suggestion. Calm your farm.
Even if we knew who had Wolfgang's blackmail, that doesn't necessarily mean they're his killer. It's annoying they won't speak up, sure, but unlike John, they would actually need to reveal Wolfgang's blackmail to prove they have it.
Dude.
This person might just want to respect Wolfgang's request to keep the blackmail between two people, especially now that he's gone.
You're just saying that
I
out
don't
of your
know.
butt.
Is it really okay if we never find out?
Circumstantial evidence alone can't prove something beyond a reasonable doubt. If we want to solve this case, we need indisputable evidence.
Yeah. It's like doing a jigsaw puzzle without the box art to help you.
The cases, or...
Obviously, the case. The more pieces you connect, the clearer the image you're constructing becomes. The clearer the image, the more you can assume about it. Do you see what I'm saying? Once we know how Wolfgang died, the rest of this case should fall into place.
You certainly talk a lot stranger than you used to, but I think I get it.
Well, I don't want to be the one to start, but we can all agree Wolfgang was stabbed to death, right?
No. Rolling pin. Stabbed to death.
When I was in the boiler room, I saw a knife bobbing around in the water near him. And on the ground, there was blood. Dried blood. On the boiler room floor and on the hallway floor.
That's gotta be Wolfgang's blood, right?
No, he didn't have any blood. It's the murderer's blood.
The knife was bloody, so...
No.
Huh. Seems like a brawl happened in the hallway. While poor Wolfie was minding his own business, he was confronted by the killer, who attacked him and chased him into the boiler room.
That would line up with how we found him.
That does not make any sense. The killer was stabbed... No, hold on. The killer stabbed Wolfgang in the hallway, then followed him into the boiler room? No, that's not what happened. I need to show everyone where they've gone wrong. Yeah, let's do it. We get the rolling pin? Wolfgang's hand storage caused toe-to-toe blood spots. Knife. What?
Is this really how you guys think Wolfgang died?
The bloody knife is way too big of a coincidence. It was floating in the water right next to him.
Not just that. There's blood on the boiler room floor and along the underground hallway.
A confrontation must have happened in those halls.
Did it wrong.
Yeah, it was probably a sneak attack. The killer snuck up on Wolfgang, stabbed him from behind.
That does not dispute the possibility of a confrontation.
Yeah, I know you're right.
Is this really how you guys think Wolfgang died?
Nah, it was probably a sneak attack. The killer snuck up on Wolfgang, stabbed him from behind.
No, that's wrong!
Okay, I got it. Sweet.
Jed, you talk a lot about the knife and the bloodstains on the floor. But did you ever look at Wolfgang himself?
I gave him a glance. Nothing too deep.
I figured. Had you actually taken the time to look at Wolfgang's back? you would have noticed a clear absence of stab wounds. In fact, none of the injuries he sustained were the type to cause severe blood loss. Seriously,
Look at Tozu in the back just
we went
smiling.
over the same thing with Cassidy during the mock trial. Couldn't you give Wolfgang the dignity of a proper investigation?
Hey, man! It's not like I didn't try! It's just... this stuff doesn't come easy, you
Look
know?
at the side-eye Toshiko's
Nobody
giving
wakes
him.
up thinking they'll have to solve their buddy's murder later.
Isn't that exactly what you should be worrying about in a killing game?
Not everyone has the stomach for investigating. That's fine. That's why you got people like me to do the heavy lifting. Since some of us here weren't able to investigate Wolfgang's body, I'll lay out his injuries. There were 2 marks on the back of his neck, a bruise, and a tiny red dot. His hands were burnt too, so 3 injuries in total. Besides that, I caught nothing else.
Burns, you say?
Junior high, my dear Wilson. The killer used a flamethrower.
These didn't look
There's
like
no
normal
flamethrower.
burns.
Where did you get the
Not the sort
flamethrower?
you'd get from a stove fire, or a hot iron, or a flamethrower, I suppose.
Contradicting my theory outright? Jeez. So this is the thanks I get for vocalizing my thoughts?
Just don't talk at all.
Sorry, lass.
Yes, if I may add on to what John said. The burns actually bore a strong resemblance to what you might see in cases of corona paralysis.
I don't know what that is.
Huh?
Ooh, now this I know. Coronoparalysis. It's something which happens to lightning strike victims.
Which means water was conductive.
Getting struck by lightning is like getting kicked by a horse. The impact is so shocking, some people will lose all feeling in their limbs for a few hours.
I was aware of lightning paralysis, but even I didn't know its official name. That's a nice head you've got on your shoulders.
Lots of people tend to overlook the importance of lightning safety, especially where I'm from.
Is she a
My
lion?
grandpappy once tried
I
working
see
out in
the
the
lion on
open
her
during a
patch.
thunderstorm.
That's so cute.
Pure luck's the only reason he lived to see the next day.
Sorry to hear that and all, but what does lightning have to do with anything?
Because the water was conductive.
Well, if I had to guess, Ulysses, did it look like a big old tree was drawn on Wolfie?
A big old tree. Yes, that's how I would describe the burns on Wolfgang.
So Wolfgang had lightning strike scars?
Huh?
They definitely weren't there before.
We're trapped inside a building, though. Lightning can't come from anywhere.
Except from the generator.
Could he not have been struck before the killing game?
No. Grace
Fate
would have
is
known
stronger
that.
than will, you know. Perhaps a deity decreed the glow of his altruism from their heavenly abode and felt him a threat.
Nay, those burns were fresh. One look was all it took for me to know that.
Did you have someone die
If he
from
had
lightning?
these scars before, we would have noticed them anyway.
But if those marks were recently inflicted, wouldn't it mean Wolfgang somehow went outside?
Not necessarily. This is only something I thought of just now, but the reason Wolfgang sustained burns similar to that of lightning strike victims may be because whatever inflicted his burns was equivalent in damage to a lightning strike.
Yeah, because it was electricity.
You saying there's something out here channeling the power of lightning?
Something equivalent in damage to a lightning strike. Well, it couldn't have been the cord because it had to have been plugged to something first. The idea sounded ridiculous, but when I think back on the boiler room and what was inside it, right, if I take that object into consideration, Ulysses' theory starts to hold some weight. The generator?
This is it.
Oh, I got it right. Let's go.
Ulysses, since you write everything down, do you have a description of the boiler room in your notebook?
Yes, I do. Why?
Since some people here never investigated the crime scene, they probably aren't as familiar with the room as we are. So, you should read out your description of it.
Sure. The boiler room consists of a small concrete platform surrounded by ankle-deep water. Throughout the room are boxes filled with various garbage, and in the back looks to be a generator, charred beyond belief. What you just heard is a brief summary of my notes.
Hear that? There's a generator inside the boiler room. Of all the things which could deal similar damage to a lightning strike, doesn't a generator sound the most likely?
Didn't Ulysses say it was destroyed?
At the time of the investigation, sure. But it wasn't always destroyed. You probably don't remember. But back when we found the dummy, I mentioned something about the underground floor.
Dining hall people, you were in this building before. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, why didn't you mention this other girl?
I never even saw her.
Huh? You were there too, bargain bin.
Don't even. There's a floor below us. That's where I woke up.
To be more specific, it was the boiler room I woke up inside. I hadn't been alone either. Ava was also there.
I woke up first.
Yeah. She did. Anyway, Ava, you agree the generator was in full working condition when we woke up, right?
Right.
So in the time since you woke up there, the generator was destroyed?
It's the only possibility. As for what destroyed the generator, well, it's hard to say for sure. My best guess would probably be...
Don't waste my time.
What? What is this?
Two things. First, destroyed is overly vague. Ulysses explained the state of the generator much better. Charred beyond belief. Second, and more importantly, where's your proof the generator inflicted those burns?
What are you talking about? The generator must be involved. It's near where Wolfgang is lying.
Being within range of something counts as proof now, does it? Do you also consider happenstance as conclusive evidence? Funny how the standards shift, if so.
What? But it's the water.
That?
She's trying to make me look like an idiot. If I let this continue, the others might start to doubt me. I need to stop her before she veers the trial off track. Okay, you thought you were the only one with the interjection animation? Think again. Wow, okay, wait. Truth blades are Q. Swipe is D. Fast forward is shift. Space is slow down. So Q is the hold. Sometimes a student will dislike your argument so much that they will initiate a one-on-one debate with you. We call this rebuttal showdown. Okay, truth cycle, blades, fire truth blades. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. During rebuttal showdown, your opponent will fling a flurry of remarks at you, and it's your job to counter them. Use the keys to slice through your opponent's argument. Naturally, you will slash in the direction of the button pressed. To slice diagonally, simply press 2 keys at the same time. Be sure to pay close attention to the shape, size, and position of your opponent's remarks, as these will clue you into what direction you should slice. Every time you strike white text, the green slide of the screen will shift left to represent your argument succeeding. Likewise, every time you miss white text, the orange slide on the screen will shift right to show that your opponent is winning. If you cut through enough marks, you will advance to the next stage. If you haven't, you'll retreat. If you're somewhere in the middle and your opponent will wrestle for control in a short round of cross swords, in order to gain the upper hand, you must rapidly click left. Okay, now to the meat of the duel, truth blades. Similar to non-stop debates, any suspected contradictions will be highlighted in gold. Hold down right click to slice them apart with truth blade. Of course, don't start slicing the second you see gold. Assess the validity of the remark and check if you have the correct truth blade equipped. Now let's not keep Winona waiting any longer to battle. Shoot, I don't know how to do frick, I don't know how to do this.
While the generator may look suspicious, consider the time frame
What
we're
is this
working
music?
with. If the only time you saw the generator in full working condition was on the day of our kidnapping, that gives us a period of almost 4 days. Do I really need to lay this out? Day 1, we were kidnapped. Day 3, and Day 5, in the period between days 2 and 5, anyone could have destroyed the gen-
No, you can't, cause the sound. Winona hasn't even bulged from her argument. Game over, no! Continue. I can still turn this debate around. Yes, you can.
That gives us a period of almost 4 days, in which the generator might have been destroyed.
What do you mean, duel? No. Come back. Okay.
What about the blackout? It's impossible for the generator to cause the blackout if it was already broken prior to the tournament.
What about the blackout? The building may very well have lost its power at any point before or after the murder. You only assume it happened during it. Not the smartest argument from a supposed ultimate debater.
Wait, was I supposed to? How do I hit that? It's definitely connected to Wolfgang's death. Yeah, I know that. There's a certain piece of evidence which proves the two events are correlated.
What about the blackout? The building may very well have lost its power at any point before or after the
I'll cut through those words!
Oh, great, I got it!
When the blackout happened, it froze a piece of equipment which had been set up for the game tournament. Mark's DJ pad. While there was no physical clock inside the dining hall, a digital one has been built into Mark's pad. If you look at what time the digital clock is frozen on, it matches the time of death listed on the tablet, 9:35 a.m.
Well, Mark, is this true?
Yeah, it is. Don't freeze on me.
There's no point in me saying anything when someone else has already said it better.
Just answer with a yes or no, will you?
Yes.
In any case, the matching times are too much of a coincidence. The destruction of the generator caused the blackout, and the blackout occurred at the time of the murder. There's no way the destruction of the generator wasn't tied to Wolfgang's death.
What do you suppose happened then?
I'm willing to bet the generator's destruction resulted in the boiler room's water becoming electrified. Since Wolfgang was discovered kneeling in the water, we can reason he was standing in it at the time this happened, and...
Damon, you and I both know that's not true.
Huh?
Ava.
Did you forget? It's impossible for the water in the boiler room to play a role in Wolfgang's
No,
murder.
it's not!
Because it isn't even conductive.
It's not conductive now. It doesn't mean it wasn't back then.
It's not? After Damon and I woke up in the boiler room, I wanted to investigate the flooded area. So, I tested the water.
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ava approach the pile of boxes and fish out a light bulb. Then, without hesitation,
I even redid my test during the investigation, since Damon wasn't sure if he should touch Wolfgang's wet clothes. In both instances, I proved the water was safe to enter. To be honest, neither result really surprised me. Water will only act as a conductor if it makes contact with two separate energy sources. The boiler room's generator is just one source.
If you're
So there's a
standing in the
second
water,
source causing
one
it.
outlet should be enough. Speaking from experience, large bodies of water are terrifying conductors during storms. All it takes is one lightning bolt, and the surrounding miles are scorched.
But the generator is a slow, persistent source of electricity. It's not the same as a lightning strike.
Electricity is electricity. Doesn't matter how it manifests. The reason you two avoided electrocution is because the generator's exposed wires aren't even touching the water. If they were, you would have been scorched right from the start.
Maybe when the generator was destroyed, some of the wiring fell into the water?
Nah. Even in its current sorry state, the generator's wires are nowhere near the water.
It doesn't make sense for the generator to pose a danger anyway. The point of the killing game is for the students to kill each other, not for the facility to kill the students. A feature of the building killing a student would be a meaningless death because you can't attribute a student killer to it.
As for why the generator's been charred, sometimes electrical faults happen. Even my ship's engines have broken under particularly relentless storms. And if an electrical fault caused Wolfgang's death, then his murder is purely on the hosts, ain't it?
Of course! If we were responsible for his death, your lot wouldn't be here discussing it.
That's... Is the generator really unrelated to the case? No, it's related, buddy. It's related. But the timing of the blackout, it's too perfect. It can't be a coincidence.
Okay, since we've ruled out the generator, what else could have electrocuted Wolfgang?
It mightn't be relevant, but I did see one other thing on the boiler room floor. A toy gun or something. At least, that's how it came across to me.
Not a toy gun, a taser gun.
But it wasn't used. It wasn't used because Desmond said he didn't see them.
I'll shoot electricity!
I'm not sure how the taser fits in with this case, though. It doesn't seem to have been used.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Nope. The taser was definitely used.
Wait, what?
How so? I didn't catch any sort of string protruding from it.
Not all taser guns release a string when fired. Some are completely wireless.
Wait, really?
For those types, you can tell they've been used if their blast doors are missing.
Oh, shoot. Okay,
Side
never
note,
mind.
Blast doors are plastic panels which cover the muzzle of a taser. If a shot is fired, they pop clean off. When I was investigating the crime scene, I found the taser gun in one spot and its blast doors in another. Speaks for itself, yeah?
And here I was thinking the yellow bits were just random trash.
I didn't even see the yellow trash.
Where the
like
heck
yellow
did
bits.
a taser gun even come from? Last time I checked, there weren't any lying around in the storage closets.
Maybe it belongs to someone here.
Huh?
Desmond. Because Desmond
Just
has a
think
whole
about it
bunch
for
of
1
weaponry in
second.
his room.
Everyone here has a dorm room which is themed around their talent. Mine's got DJ equipment. Jet's got car batteries. If
Hey,
that's what
wait a
we
minute. Car
have with our
batteries. Do you think that
talents,
thing we saw in the
what
water
could
was a
someone
battery?
with a dangerous talent have?
Are you
And
talking
that has
about,
electricity.
like, knives and
Which
stuff?
means that could have been the conductive needed for the water to go to Wolfgang.
What? Is there something on my face?
Forget this. The person I'm talking about is Desmond.
Huh? No way! You think the gun is Desmond's?
Yeah.
Hang on. You've got it all mixed up.
Jean, do you know anything about this? As Desmond's roommate, perhaps you spotted something inside his dorm.
But they didn't use his dorm, did he?
Alas, we stayed in my abode. I couldn't tell you if he had weapons.
Talk about suspicious.
So no one was in Desmond's room. That
Desmond
means
agreed
someone
to
could have
bunk in
snuck in
John's
Desmond's room
dorm.
then.
So Jean wouldn't see the weapons in his?
Listen, I get where you guys are coming from, but that taser gun, it's not mine. I've never seen anything like it.
No, that's a lie.
A lie?
His attempt to feign ignorance won't fool me, not when I know the truth. Ava's stuff? His talent, his charisma, his blackmail.
I got it.
Yeah.
The blackmail tools you gave us. That's my evidence.
You didn't get mine, did you?
No. But the person who did informed me of what it said.
With his weapons at hand, Desmond guards the only one he trusts.
The writing style seems to match. I think it's legit.
That's more than a little suspicious, don't you think? Leaving a bunch of weapons unguarded during a killing game?
Don't judge me. This is the first time I'm hearing of it too.
You didn't know there were weapons in your room?
Yep, no idea.
No, that's a lie, man.
Our rooms aren't particularly subtle in their theming. Are we supposed to believe yours is any different?
It is themed. I'm not denying that. But I sure as hell didn't catch sight of any weapons. If I did, do you seriously think I'd leave them unguarded and risk being found out?
Yeah. Desmond cares too much about everyone. He pointed out the broken doorknobs and gave us the idea to bunk together. Why would he hide weapons in his room?
Someone must have gotten the idea to rifle through my dorm because of my talent, and found the taser gun hidden inside. There's no other way to explain it.
Well, I don't think you did it, but I do think it was in your
So
room.
while Desmond gets a bunch of guns, all I get is an old game console and a dead controller.
Take the bad with the good, dearest pupil. No one fears game consoles. Well, no one besides parents and the religiously inclined.
Enough talking about consoles. Why are you guys believing Desmond so easily? If the taser gun belongs to him, then he's the killer. Any argument he makes against it is just a flimsy excuse.
But I don't think that's true. Oh, shoot, another non-stop debate? Blackout, Grace testimony, fetch quest, blood spots, taser gun.
Desmond is the killer. The taser gun came from his room.
I had no idea the gun even existed. I was barely in my dorm to begin with.
Because you wanted to draw attention away from your weapons hoard.
But...
If this is about avoiding suspicion, why did Desmond say the taser gun was fired? I don't think a killer would draw attention to their own murder weapon.
I was with Desmond.
I call it reverse psychology.
Oh, can I... Hold
you
on.
sprinkle in a little helpfulness.
Focus, show, fire bullet, change, hold cycle, hold cycle. I think...
And suddenly everyone trusts you.
When the murder happened...
Blackout, the blackout. Now compare the evidence. Okay,
Desmond
the truth
is the
bullet
killer. The taser gun came from his room.
I
had no idea the gun even existed.
Eloise, we gotta go with Eloise, right?
You wanted to draw attention away from your weapons hoard.
If this is about avoiding
Suspicion. Why did Desmond say the taser gun was fired? I don't think a killer would
draw attention to their
own murder weapon.
I
was with Desmond.
No! Shoot.
Hold
on.
I don't think a killer would draw attention to their own murder weapon.
No, they wouldn't.
Was with Desmond.
Why wouldn't that work?
I got it.
Yeah, okay. It worked. It was delayed, but we got it.
Regardless of whether or not Desmond knew about the gun, he definitely wasn't involved in the murder. Eloise can back me up on this.
Right. Desmond and I, we were together in the courtyard at the time of Wolfgang's death.
I see. Then both of you can be ruled out as suspects.
Don't just take her word for it. She could be covering for Desmond.
Jeez, if you have a bone to pick with these guys, at least save it for when we're not solving a murder.
Yeah! Why don't you want to believe Eloise?
Ever since the investigation, these two yuppies have been on my case non-stop. They're obviously working together.
Not gonna lie, I see where Grace is coming from. When Eloise tried to single her out earlier, Desmond was pretty quick to jump in and agree.
Even so... since the topic has been brought up, I would like to mention something. During my trip to the pharmacy, I believe I saw Desmond and Eloise in the courtyard together.
You also said you were back in the hallways around 8-10 a.m., didn't you? That means those two were wandering around unsupervised. Either one of them could have left the courtyard.
If Desmond was the killer, what would Eloise gain from defending him? Should the wrong vote be cast, nothing about the rules suggests an accomplice of the killer would be exempt from execution.
That's right! And even if she was exempt, Eloise is too nice to be an accomplice to murder.
Grace, I realize Desmond's irked you, but that's no reason to keep staring everyone down a dead end. Let's move on.
A person who's always steering others down a dead end, huh? I guess they needed a GPS. Anyway, we should totally thank Desmond for clearing things up now. Not only do we know he's not the killer, now we know how the killer got their hands on the taser.
Now we know how... What?
Someone must have gotten the idea to rifle through my dorm because of my talent, and found the taser gun hidden inside.
Yup, that is word for word what Desmond said.
Right. Good memory.
All in a day's work, baby!
Can you repeat that quote, Cassidy?
Again. But I just said it.
Yeah, but I want you to say it again.
Alright. Someone must have gotten the idea to rifle through my dorm because of my talent and found the taser gun hidden inside.
Is there something on your mind?
If Desmond's testimony is anything to go by, then wouldn't this mean the culprit has to be male?
What?
If I remember correctly, all the guys were aware of each other's pairings. With that sort of knowledge, a male student could try and infiltrate another male student's dorm.
None
No,
of us knew
because
which
Ava,
room we'd
you
be
had
bunking in.
the blackmail, so
It only
you could
takes a
know.
quick peek to check if someone's inside or not. Anyone could have done that.
And who's to say the thief didn't barge in before we started bunking?
Or while people were having breakfast.
Seems there was a mountain of opportunities for our culprit to sneak in unnoticed. Doesn't exactly help us narrow things down, does it?
Well, guess this taser gun was a bust.
Look on the bright side. If it's been fired, then it's probably what electrocuted Wolfie. If trying to suss out who stole it isn't feasible, why don't we, talk about Wolfie's other injuries instead? You know, the ones that weren't burn marks? Those seem like they could lead us somewhere.
Yeah, Besides the burns on his hands, Wolfgang also had a bruise and a tiny red dot on the back of his neck.
A bruise and a tiny dot, huh? Wanna try tackling them in alphabetical order?
Alphabetical order? Now, aren't you full of smart ideas?
No need to thank me. It's only common sense.
Okay, let's discuss the bruise first.
Hands, knife, rolling pin, Wolfgang's neck.
I think it's safe to say
Ooh.
the killer didn't use a flamethrower.
No, they used a rolling pin.
Maybe Wolfgang got into a fight? Someone might have attacked him.
Yep. Rolling pin. No?
I don't think that discounts anything I said.
What?
I think it's safe to say
Either way, something must have...
Yeah. Rolling pin, right?
I got it.
Okay, great.
Kai is right. Something did hit Wolfgang.
Really? Man. And I was only blurting out the first thing which came to mind. Anyway, from how you're wording things, do you know what that something is?
A rolling pin.
Eh?
Wolfgang was hit with a rolling pin.
How on earth did you reach that conclusion?
Ava and I found this pin inside storage closet A, which is just a few feet from the crime scene. Coincidentally, the pin also has a dent.
You sure that's enough to say it's involved? Could just be a flimsy pin.
No. There's something else which solidifies this pin's role in the murder. Handprints. 2 of them on the edge of the pin.
So the killer used a rolling pin to attack Wolfgang?
It certainly explains the bruising on his neck.
They must have wanted him to be unconscious so he wouldn't fight back.
Exactly. It would be easier to drag him into the water if he's not awake.
You reckon the killer purposely put Wolfie in the water?
Bam! With one electrified blow, Wolfgang is zapped to bits with the taser! Since he's lying in the water, he's definitely a goner.
Considering the logical ethos of the killer's rectitude, especially when governed under constricting pressure, leaving him catatonic would be the most facile solution.
I guess it makes sense.
Oh shoot, I missed it. Oops. Oh, frick.
So let me get this straight. The killer knocked out Wolfgang with a rolling pin, and then chucked the pin into Closet A?
When exactly did they discard the pin?
They couldn't have done it when Eva and I were already downstairs, because the 2 of us went inside Closet A.
Why were you inside the closet?
To find the backup generator, remember? Jed and I checked Closet B. Damon and Kai checked Closet C. Eva and Grace checked Closet A. And Jean and Mark checked Closet D.
The killer just discarded the pin before we came downstairs.
Yeah, I think Mark's right. 'Cause the killer could run upstairs and go back to their room immediately after
discarding the pin.
Just because the killer placed the pin earlier doesn't mean they left before we arrived. No, they didn't because of
So
the
let me get this straight.
footsteps.
Because the killer could run upstairs and go back to their room immediately
No.
discarding the pin.
No, that's
No.
wrong!
Right. It was wrong. Get him, Damon. Get him.
Diana, there's proof the killer fled the underground hallway at a later time. When the tournament attendees were looking for a backup generator, Kai and I heard someone run past our room.
Huh?
Oh man, that's right! We were just exploring the closet when, all of a sudden, we heard footsteps in the hallway. That's when Damon decided he was gonna follow where the footsteps came from and entered the boiler room.
Did anyone else hear these footsteps?
Nope. Not ringing any bells.
Yeah, Jet and me didn't really hear it over all our talking.
I heard the footsteps.
Huh? You did?
Well, I initially thought it was my imagination, so I never said anything.
Ashamed to say, I also brushed off the footsteps. Thought I was hearing things. However, since other people can attest to hearing them...
Then someone else was on the underground floor with us.
Before anyone tries to bring it up, none of the tournament attendees could have been the person running. Since everyone explored the closets in pairs, they all have solid alibis.
I'm sure we can all vouch for that, aye?
Everyone was still in their closets after Damon and I found Wolfgang, so...
Considering the footsteps were moving away from the crime scene, I think it's safe to say they belong to the killer.
Wouldn't that mean the killer fled while you guys were exploring the rooms?
Hold up! So the killer had been right next to us?
Boy, that's a given.
Huh? How are you so calm after hearing that? The only thing which stood between us and a murderer was a door. What if they attacked us?
Well, they didn't, so I don't see what the problem is.
Sheesh, you're weird.
Why not run away earlier, though? Fleeing while everyone is searching seems really risky.
Maybe it was a miscalculation?
It's not impossible, I guess.
If not that, then maybe the killer returned to the boiler room after discarding the pin?
Sounds pretty meat-headed if you ask me.
Yes, you'd think a killer would use that moment to run away.
For the two who heard the footsteps, describe the sound.
It was kinda... socky. As in, it sounded pretty soft. Like the person had taken off their shoes.
Saki, huh? Seems this killer was purposefully trying to keep quiet.
'Cause their footsteps were soft?
That seems like a leap in logic.
No, I get what she's saying. Everyone here has socks on, I'm pretty sure. So any one of us could have run down the hallway. The thing with shoes is, not everyone here has the same kind. If the killer had worn theirs, we might have been able to figure out their footwear from the sound it made on the floor. Then we just have to single out the person with that footwear. Man, it would have been so easy to find the killer.
We already can find the killer, though.
What?
Oi, are you pulling our leg?
I'm completely serious. Picture a map of the building complex in your head. The building with the dorms is on the left, the courtyard is in the middle, and the building with the tree is on the right. Now, try and pin everyone's locations during Wolfgang's murder. Once you do that, the identity of the killer will definitely become clear.
Is the killer someone whose position we can't place?
No, it's not about position.
Eh?
Wolfgang's killer can easily lie about their location during the murder. The only thing distinguishing their testimony from everyone else's is that theirs can't be corroborated.
Yes, that's right. The only one here can possibly be the killer is you, not me, Damon. Rude. Nah, can't be. Here we go. You have no alibi.
It has to be you!
Diana, it's you, isn't it?
Her? The makeup girl?
She's the only one here without an alibi. Those of us who attended the tournament can obviously be ruled out. And as for those who didn't, Desmond and Eloise were in the courtyard. Toshiko and Ingrid were in the same dorm room.
What about Winona? She never mentioned an alibi.
Give me a break.
Winona and I were in the building with the tree all morning. In fact, yes, Desmond and Eloise should have witnessed us walking over there, as those two were in the courtyard at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
In that case, Diana really is the only one without an alibi.
Guys.
If she's the person who fled the boiler room, those footsteps we heard make a lot more sense. Heels make a pretty loud clop sound on hard floors, and the underground hallway's floor is pretty hard. Diana would obviously want to take them off. Also, heels aren't comfy to run in.
Whoa! I didn't even think of it like that. You're totally right, though. Since Diana's the only one here with heels, she would have to take them off.
Guys, what are you talking about? Me? A killer? Do you really think I could be a killer?
No,
The fact you
you're
weren't
a
at
red
the
herring.
tournament is
I know you're a red
incriminating
herring because of what you said before the trial even started.
Not just that. Everyone but you has an alibi.
But I do have an alibi. Right, Ava?
Huh? What does Ava have to do with this?
You woke up with me this morning, and you never saw me leave my dorm.
During the brief amount of time we were together, I never saw you leave. What you did after I left for the game tournament, however, is anyone's guess.
Ava wanted to help me and Cass set up the tournament, so we told her to swing by early.
For that reason, I left Diana's dorm at 8:05 a.m. I know the exact time since her room has a clock. I probably entered the dining hall around 8:10 a.m.-ish.
So much for an alibi then.
Diana, don't tell me.
Holy smokes, it's all falling into place!
Are we sure there hasn't been some sort of misunderstanding?
It's not possible. Diana can't be the killer.
And unfortunately, we are out of time. So I'll have to see you guys in the next episode if you want to see if Diana is truly the killer. My name is Skirboga, Captain Skirboga, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye!